language, right? Saying what was wrong with them. And the consultants were sitting around listening. It was there to prove a point that you're speaking Queen's English, you don't understand my native language. How are you prescribing drugs for me? Is it the right drugs you're prescribing? I said, after you had finished the play, did you explain to them what you were really saying? She said, no, we didn't, but they didn't understand. So that's one drawback. And this is where we have to move forward and in a roundabout way, make it known that we speak broken English, we are proud of it. It's not on the curriculum at the moment, but it is coming. I've got an article, which had I known that this was on, that I would have brought, where it says that in the West Indies, where Creole is recognized, how well the children do their work. Whereas coming here to England, where Creole is not recognized, they seem to be, do we call it dimwits? They're dunce. That's the expression we use. Anyhow, I'm not here to preach to you. I'm here to say that I'm very pleased of what I've seen here and how well Rosemary and Theresa have handled this project, and I think they deserve a real big round of applause. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'd like to take this opportunity also to commend Theresa Phillips and Rosemary Hartman. I think the Creole is very important. And me as a DJ, I've been promoting soca music here in Luton for quite some time. And I was born in Barbados, and I find sometimes that even my wife don't even understand me. And I think it is very, very important. Anyway, I'll give it up to this gentleman. Give him a round of applause, please.
Wow. It's nice to hear that I'm called a gentleman. That's so. I come up here because for many years I've been engaged in teaching in this country, and English language is one of my specialty. In fact, at the university I did some research into English language, not only in this country, but in Canada, in Ireland, we go to India and the West Indies. In each case, they're trying to recognize the influence which the English language has upon the spoken language of the local people. Now, what we're calling Creole, now something comes to my mind that if I speak, say, French, and the woman I'm married to speak Portuguese, then we begin to pick up a little English, and that is the basic type of English that we're going to speak. But later on, that English develops, and we speak about Creole. Now, as I see the analysis of Creole, Creole is more manageable as a spoken language, but when you are writing it, you're going to have a bit of difficulty in putting the different bits in places. And I haven't got to go so deep into the research, but I have looked at books written in the West Indies, and I've seen the difficulties that are involved in stating the grammatical part of the language. I think I will sort of go on to give you just a few examples of what people are like. Now, I'm from Jamaica, and I came here in '61. I was engaged in the school teaching for many years, and after going back to university and getting a few degrees, I don't really think that I'm all that educated. I'm still looking for more knowledge. But looking at the language, I remember in Jamaica, if a person speaks to you, and he said, "Shaman." Now, I see some of the people who are born in this country claiming that they know the Creole language, but I don't think it is so, because one like me, who I'm from the West Indies, I was grown up in it, although my father, like many of you, didn't want me to speak Creole. My mother didn't care much about whether I speak it or not. But coming up to say, "Chaman, what are you doing?" Now, what do we mean by cha? How would you explain the word cha? And I'm sure that every one of you in that crowd will have a difficulty in explaining the word cha to me, although I know what it means. It means I do not agree with you, and go away, man, you're talking rubbish. That's a chaman. Now, I'll give you an instance. A certain man who lived in Bedford said he was playing his music one night, He went home to collect some records and the police started chasing him. And he started to get out of his car and started to run. But the police, a woman and a man, put their legs in the way and tripped him up. And they wanted his key, and he wouldn't give it up, so they took him to the station. They locked him up. And when the copper came back, he said, "Me want pee-pee." So the copper came back again, and he said, "Me want pee-pee, me say." The copper went away, because he didn't get what he was saying. He wanted to go to the toilet to have a wee. And when the cop came next morning, the man wet the place all up. And the copper gave him a proper hiding and let him clean up the cell. That is one case. Now, in Jamaica again, I happened as a boy to go to an agricultural meeting. I wasn't allowed to go because I was a boy, but they knew my dad. And this man got up. What happened to the man? He planted some potatoes one year. And he said, he got up. He said, "Last year." What he meant by last year? Can you tell me? He said last year. Last year. The government come here. Yeah, they came here and take away we barrel. They took away our barrels. And they never came back. They didn't bring them back. And then he said, "Ladies and gentlemen," mark you, there was no lady in the crowd, but he said, "Ladies and gentlemen, tell me something. I want them going to take the potatoes this year." And he paused. An orator, you know. He said, "If it left to me, ladies and gentlemen, him take him shot." So he mixed up the government with the governor, because I said take him shot. That was what he said. But I could put it, I went home to tell my mom about it, and she had a good laugh. And this other man came to her house. He said to my sisters, "Last week Saturday I go up Blunty." He meant the place called Brunty. He said, "I went to Brunty. Me see one duck. I saw a duck." And he said, "In tall so, in stout so." And then he pointed on his hand and he said, "See him geese ya?" What do you call his geese? That thing that grows in the turkey's mouth. He's mixing up a turkey with a goose. So that is the misconception. So, "See him geese ya?" And we all had a laugh. In fact, some of the people in my district were afraid to come to our house because we had a good laugh at what they said, but probably we were wrong. Well, listening to the program this morning, I have to say a specialist in language study, but I'm not going to dwell on that so much. I think the program this morning is very worth launching, because there are some misconceptions about the English and the Creole language. And if people who are sick even go to the doctor, if you go to, say, an Asian doctor and he didn't understand English, he might prescribe you the wrong medicine. And if you go to someone who can understand you, you might get the wrong medicine. So I think, like when we showed pictures of Bra and Nancy, the English children at our school, Mr. Dottin is here, at our school in Hackman Ring, enjoyed it even more than the black children. And so, we want the Creole language to be known to people so that they can fully understand what we want to say. And a person like me don't mind, because I speak English fairly well, and I also know Creole, because many of the people who are talking about Creole, if they come to me, I could put them straight about something about the Creole. I thank you for listening to me, and I hope you enjoyed the few jokes I had to give. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for coming. Today I feel immensely proud of my niece Rosemary and of Theresa and the things that they have started to do. Today we're talking about the Creole language and what it represents to us. Some of you that are here know me. Most of you know my family. My name is Pam Hagley, Patrick, From a very old family. I was born in St. Vincent. I came here when I was 11. So I went through the English process. But in the Caribbean, we went to school, and unlike the way the schooling is done here, you're promoted at home on merit. Therefore, it doesn't really matter how old you are. If you are considered to be bright, as they call it, or gifted, as they call it here, you tend to accelerate throughout the schooling process. And I came here having gone to grammar school in the Caribbean because I was considered to be a bright child. And so I suppose I was above the people of my age, but it didn't really matter there. Whereas here, you are promoted according to your age. Okay, there are grades here, but in the Caribbean, it's purely how good you are at what you do. And when I first came here, because I had done physics and chemistry and those sort of things in the Caribbean, here, children of my age didn't do them. And so I was put back a little bit, but it didn't really deter me because I come from that type of family who always said, whatever you want to do, don't let anybody hold you back. And it was something that my mother always told us. And because of that, that sort of spurred me on. I joined the Air Force when I was younger, and I think that I can say that it taught me a great deal. I've traveled the world, and because of some of the things I did, I was awarded the MBE 9 years ago. I enjoy what I do, and there has been times when my sister has said that my niece doesn't take after her, she takes after me. And the only reason that she says that is because I believe that everything is achievable. It doesn't really matter whether you're black or white or how you speak, because we can all speak the Queen's English, but we can also all speak Creole, because that is really our heritage. That is how we were brought up. We believe in the speech. We also believe in the food. We believe in the culture. And I do believe that the Creole or the Patois gives us a richer upbringing. And it is good that we're able to help and diversify and show people what really we're about. You know, and it's good that my niece and Teresa has started this project, because it's something that I've recently been saying, that I feel that we have a lost generation of black people, in as much as they're losing touch with our creation, they're losing touch with the things that we were brought up on. Some of them now are beginning to hear about the Brown Ancestors stories that we were taught. They're beginning to hear about some of the parables and some of the different things that our parents spoke to us in. It wasn't that they didn't want us to do well, they wanted us to excel. And Creole does not stop you from excelling, it spurs you on. So it doesn't really matter where you go or what people say. And a lot of times people will say, oh, you can't talk like that, because if you talk like that, it's going to stop you from making progress. It does nothing of the kind. It really doesn't stop you. If you have that determination, it doesn't matter where you are or what you're doing. You can be the best at what you do. And that's all we're trying to do. We really need to be the best, and to instill in our children that whatever they do, wherever they go, they've got to be the best at whatever that is. Thanks very much indeed, and I hope you enjoy this.
Thank you very much.
Okay, just one last speaker for the night, and this gentleman is called Mr. Bob Baker. Thank you.
Right.
Not for the night, but for the morning.
Yes. Yeah, can I congratulate the people that's been involved in this project, Treesman and Rosemary. I think it's very good that they're doing it for themselves and for us. With respect. I know, I'll be very, very brief, you know. Anyway, in short, basically, right, I was born in Jamaica. I came over in 1966. And can I just say, a lot of things that's been said by the speakers, I don't want to go over it. But the point is really, right, back in the Caribbean, we had the first class education that we got. You know, the education that we had was a classical education, unlike when you came over here, you get the working class education. So we need to acknowledge that, and the teachers were exceptional. There was no barriers to learning. But touching on the language is very important, because in a sense, really, right, your first form of socialization is in the home and in the community, and that's where you get your culture get passed on. Transmission of culture is key. You know, whether you get responsibility, whether you're coherent, you hear and understand, you can do things. The sooner you can do things for yourself, the more responsibility you get. And there's certain lessons or education can only be portrayed through listening and talking with your elders, you know, people older than you. Like, say, for example, we all know about, from Jamaicans, probably all know about Brennan's story, Brad Tukum and all them kind of things, right? And if you are actually, and somebody say, go on, what sweet nanny got wearing around the belly, you know what I come, so you don't have to go on about a long thing, yeah? But can I just say basically really right, that ability, you know, is very important, because age is a barrier, or it could be a barrier. If you know something, you know it, whether you're old or whether you're young, it doesn't make no difference. And what does that mean in terms of being in England? It's a different kind of system. You know, it's only when you go to higher education you understand the fullness, you know, of everything. But to put things in a perspective, I'm very, very precise, because I know time is short. One of the things, I'm a youth and community worker, and basically, when I go into schools and relate to some of the youths that's born over here, some of them have very good culture. They get things transmitted and passed down to them. But there is a big problem. The problem is sometimes you get some black people dealing with other black people, and they deny that part of the culture, and that causes problems. You know, like my elders, I respect my elders. It's ingrained in me. I can't go somewhere and say, good morning, whatever. You know, but walk down the road and I see somebody say, what, sir? Oh, you stay. What you do? What's going on? You know what I mean? And when we lose that little things, then we know we get alienated and alienated. Anyway, time very short. Can I just once again say, I think this is a very good thing, because it's a thing, it's for we, and we must use it appropriately to communicate, you know? Big respect to the people involved.
Yeah.
Right?
Thank you very much. Final words for this session coming from Mrs. Rosemary Hartman.
Right. Thank you very much for this morning, and thank you very much for being a very attentive audience and for listening and for participating. We've got two other speakers that wanted to speak, but we have to think about the health of our elders. So what we're going to do now is we're going to break for lunch. And we'll be back. We'll see how we go for about half an hour, and then if not, we'll have about 3/4 of an hour, and then two people are going to come up and speak before Steve Stevenson MBE comes on. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
Hello everybody, are you ready for the second part of the afternoon? Yeah. Okay, I can see some people are still at the back, haven't taken their seats yet. So the moment we can see that everyone's settled and full up and happy to go, we will begin. Sweet music and harmony. Okay, is everybody happy? Yeah. Wonderful. I wasn't here this morning, so I missed the first bit. Did you have a nice time? Yeah. Brilliant. Well, this afternoon is going to be even better. That's what I'm told. There's lots to look forward to, lots of lovely things going to happen, and I'm very pleased to have the honour to present this second part of the afternoon. My name is Sherry Eugene, and I've been especially invited by Rosemary and by Teresa to be here today. I also have the honour of being the patron for the project. I'm very pleased to be able to say yes, I'm able to help. I've come all the way from Bristol. I do have a family connection, but I won't necessarily go into that. The reason I have come because Rosemary knows that I'm very much involved in the deaf community, which is a minority language community. So when Rosemary told me about this project, it was really an idea about a year ago. I laughed and said, Rosemary, are you sure? Are you sure you should be talking about Creole and Patois? When I was growing up, my parents said, don't talk like that, you know, Sherry, they're from Dominica. And I said, why, Mum? It's not fair. I want to learn how to talk Creole, and you and Dad talk it, so why can't I? That was my reaction. They used to talk Dominican to themselves, and I used to pick up the odd word and the odd phrase. And I got as far as "Sakafet, how are you?" and "Voila, you know, I'm fine." That's great. But I wanted to go a bit further than that. And why wasn't I allowed? Because I had to speak English, and that was what I was told. But time goes on, and you get a bit more aware, and you want to learn more about your culture. You want to learn more about your history, where you came from. And I actually went to Africa to find out a bit more about that. I went to Ghana, I went to Gambia, and I came back feeling enriched. I came back feeling absolutely inspired because of what I learned from Africa and from the Caribbean when I went there. And one of the things that really amazed me was the things that my parents told me about when I was here, told me about growing up in the Caribbean, was very similar to what I saw in Africa. I saw women with bowls on their heads carrying fruit and vegetables from the market. And I saw exactly the same thing in the Caribbean. I saw the clothes that the women wore in the Caribbean. I saw exactly the same thing in Africa. I saw people cooking outside on stones in the Caribbean. I went to Africa and I saw exactly the same thing. People cooking, having their kitchens outside. And I said, what a link. And really, that was nothing to be surprised about, because that is our heritage, that is our culture, and that's exactly where we've come from. So why should we have to dispel that now? And so years ago I said to my parents, I want to now learn Patois. I want to learn the language. And they said, yes, Sherry, why not? Go ahead. So now I know a few more words in Dominican, and I'm very proud to say I do. But the other thing is, you know, we talk about accents and the way people talk and the way people express themselves. And we're always told, talk properly, please and thank yous. Of course, please and thank yous, very important. But we're talking beyond please and thank yous. We're talking about being proud of ourselves, about where we come from, and being proud of how we sound. And there's nothing wrong with that. And going back to the deaf community, my sister is profoundly deaf, and her first language is sign language. So she expresses herself with her hands, and it's a visual language, it's a beautiful language, which is very poetic and very romantic. And that also has an accent. And French and Italian has an accent, and that's very romantic and poetic as well. Well, in Caribbean and African culture, we have an accent too, and we have a patois, we have a Creole, but it's not described as romantic and attractive, and that's not fair. Why isn't it? Because we've all got something to offer. We've all got our language, which is part of ourselves, and that's something to be celebrated because it's rich and it's vibrant, and that's what we want to celebrate today. So, without further ado, I would like to introduce Miss Joseph. Miss Joseph has a very short and sweet, she tells me, presentation. But I'm also told by someone else that when Miss Joseph starts to talk, sometimes she can't stop. You can't stop her. So we'll see. Is it going to be short and sweet, or is it going to be a long, long sermon? We don't mind. Miss Joseph, you're very welcome to take the floor. Please give her a big round of applause, Miss Joseph.
Thank you. Now this evening I must say a pleasant good afternoon. And I must first introduce myself. I am Mistress Joseph, which Teresa called my name here not too long. And when I sit there, I must say, when I sit in yonder corner and I hear my name so highly called by this young lady, I arise now to entertain my call. I'm not going plenty, because while I'm here standing, I want to give thanks to the Atman. The Atman, which is small one, mother, is had to call my husband uncle. So we all are one family. And the tall one that said, when my mother said to you, if you have anything to say, say it. So now that's why I rise to the to take the little say I have to say. I sit down there and I listen to the ceremony that goes on with all the talk and all like that, and I say I can't left out. I must be, hallelujah. I say I can't left out. When you hear Teresa say to me, Mistress Joseph say something to me, I sit there and I want to know if she remember that I said to her when she was the manager, when the other one gone out, that is Rita. I love the three manager, that is Rita and Rosie and Teresa. And Teresa leave a light to shine that we could remember her. And I don't think she remember, but I will say it. If anybody bought there is here, she all time make a cake and make a surprise and bring that cake on the trolley in with the light. Then we will know that somebody bought this here. Give me a hand. Give me a hand. This hymn must say, give away heaven and I will speak and hear all the words, the mouth of my mouth. The doctrine shall drop as the rain. My speech shall be still as the dew, like small drops upon the tender herbs, like showers upon the grass. Thank you. Thank you. And I know that you all know I am old. I'm 80 years of age, and everybody know that I'm an old woman because you could watch me sing, but I never give up. And I'm never afraid of a congregation. I stand and I will talk whatever I like to talk. As my godchild, the last one that talked, Pamela, is my godchild. And she said, when my mother says, you have something to say, just say it. So that's why I will say it. No, the last thing I will say, bring me the hammer and the nail. I want to mend the gate. I mean, I don't start to cut the I don't start to cut the wood. I must cut the wood with my axe because I have no sword to cut it with. And that is the end of my little speech. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Joseph. Lovely, short and sweet. I'm just like you. Thank you. That was lovely. Then they say, and Mrs. Joseph certainly said, well, you've got something to say it, say it. And somebody is going to come up and say, just like that now, Steve Stevenson, MBE, can I welcome him? All right. Steve, I know you're just about to be waiting in the wings. I just wanted to make sure that you were absolutely here, and you are. You've got a few things to say, but before we do that, I'd like to introduce, stay with us, I'd like to introduce Monica Coke.
Thank you.
Monica.
Thanks, Sherry. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here from Birmingham, and so we've all, a lot of us have come from very many parts of the region or a part of the country, and we've come here for one thing, language. And I think whether it's Creole, whether you come from Jamaica, I'm from Jamaica, or Dominica or St. Kitts or Nevis or Montserrat, there is something there that's drawing us together because it's the language. Patois, Creole, whatever you want to call it. I'm not going to repeat what's already been said because it's been said admirably. I was brought up with Patois in the home or with my friends, but when I went to school, it was something else. And knowing where and when, because to be able to understand and get on in the world, you need to communicate and you need to be able to understand your fellow human being. And whether you're speaking in Patois, there's no point speaking in Patois to somebody who don't understand you. And it's coming back to this basis of, you know, whether you're in the hospital, whether you're at school, whether wherever you are, whoever you're speaking to, you need to be able to communicate together. So I believe in Patois, and I think it's a rich heritage, and we need to hold on to it. And I'd like to congratulate Teresa and Rosemary for the task they've taken on, and I will support them along the way. In Birmingham, we're doing the same thing. I've been called upon to get colleagues and friends to go to the courts to translate for people who are in the dock, and that's what it comes to, being able to do that. So without further ado, just congratulations and wish you all the luck.
Thank you, Monica Coke from Birmingham. Thank you, Monica. Okay, so Mr. Steve Stevenson, MBE, can you come and do your presentation? Thank you. I know you all know him.
Look at that MB, it's a long time now. Firstly, I don't want to repeat what others have said, but I'm going to just give you some food for thought. I mean, the first one, what Monica has said, I was a social worker in Birmingham, and we did actually interpret for, black elders. In terms of the issues around the patois, I think for me it's quite relevant because I came here when I was actually 19, born in Kingston, went to school with Bunny Wailer. I was in the same class with Robbie Shakespeare, the bass guitarist. I knew Bob Marley and I knew people like that. And when I came here, there was this negative issues around patois, and Diane Abbott and others and Bernie Grant was being involved in a lot of the struggle. Remember the bit about SEN schools and underachievement. At that time I used to say the kids underachieve, but for me it was the education system that had underachieved at that time. So one of the examples that I have was at the youth house when there's two youths, one Rastafarian and another black youth who was a Rastafarian. And there's a conversation, and this white youth worker says, boy, the one that's not the Rasta, very intelligent boy, he speaks the Queen English. I can't understand the Rastafarian, and he's not very intelligent, is he? And I said to him, you're talking a lot of rubbish. I said, you don't know these kids. I said, they're my youths from the Starlight. I said, do you realize the Rastafarian have got 5 O-levels, including English? And I said, the other boy is not very bright, but the reason why the Rastafarian speaks patois is because he's blocking you. And he said, oh, do you mean he's blocking you? I said, he got no common ground with you, and he doesn't identify with you. But I said, there's nothing wrong with his English. He's just using it as part of his culture. So yes, there's a lot of issue around it, but my personal feeling is that once you go into a setting with other people, you should try and speak clear, concise English and let everybody understand. When we come together now and we're rapping, like when we go to cricket, it's pure patois dropping at the park. And when we're in the park, it's a different language that gets spoken in the park when we are with each other. I was in a team of 9 black social workers in Birmingham, and there was a couple of Rastafarian social workers, and sometimes we drop it a bit heavy because we had something to say and we didn't know other people here. So you have to know when to do it. There's an appropriate time. Anyway, I'll move on quickly. This is the Caribbean Elders Center, and before doing the quiz, I just need to touch base with you. I wrote the book, Cold Arrival, Life in a Second Homeland, about Caribbean elders in Britain, and there's this extract that came out of some of the talks that I did. And it says, ladies and gentlemen, it says here, it's quite well known that the great majority of the present generation of elderly people from the West Indies came to the UK during the period after the Second World War to earn monies in industries that could not attract labor. Almost all of them originally intended to return home. I'm sure you have all heard of the 5-year plan. That plan has now been relinquished in most cases, and we are all here to stay. And as some of you know, my father was one of the first of 6 West Indians to arrive in 1956. I'm going to read this again. I know I've done it before, but I just want to leave it with you. Peter Fryer, who saw the MV Empire Windrush dock at Tilbury Docks in 1947, with 493 West Indians, is also the author of the book Staying Power. And in the book he states, in April 1956, London Transport began recruiting staff in Barbados. And within 12 years, a total of 3,787 Barbadians are taken on. I know Mike Prescott from Wellingborough, he's one of them. And listen to me very carefully, and don't forget this, because in this period we're talking about asylum seekers and refugees, it's very relevant. They were led their fears to Britain, and the loans were gradually repaid from their wages. I repeat, they were led their fears to Britain, and the loans were gradually repaid from their wages. So we were actually invited here. Even this number was not enough, and in 1966, London Transport would begin to recruit in Trinidad and Jamaica. The British Hotels and Restaurant Association also recruited skilled workers, again from Barbados, and listen, it's coming. A Tory health minister by the name of Enoch Powell welcomed West Indian nurses to Britain. Willing black hands drove troop trains, collect bus fares, and emptied hospital bedpans. So, ladies and gentlemen, now what are the needs of black elders? And this question is prevalent today, as it has been since it first came to light 2 or 3 decades ago. After numerous surveys, researches and seminars, conferences, planners and providers about ignorance about the needs of elders. I'm going to stop there because it's a long presentation, but my bit is to say the question is one of social justice, and I know Diane might come back at it. Do we get a good return in the form of taxes that we have paid over the last 40 years? I was very angry when I came back down here to find out that there was no Caribbean Elder Center. In every single town I've been in Birmingham, Northampton, there are centers, and they are there as of right. When Patrick Markland and Bob Baker and several of the others start making noise, I was very surprised that there was no center here. And the question is, as a social worker, all we want is a slice of the cake. We don't want the whole cake because, you know, we have other people like white elders. As a social worker, we know that white elders need centers too. And what I've said to them in Luton is that we need a slice of the cake. But I leave Luton because if I never let Luton, you know, there would be a lot of problems between me and a lot of people. So I decided to walk away from Luton on that occasion. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to start the quiz, right? Monica, can you do 3 teams quickly? You know you're split, right? That's the A team, that's the B team, and this is the C team at the front. And we're not going to stay too long because Rosemary have got a lot. And we'll start with Fruits of the Caribbean. And you're going to have a prize. I don't know what the prize is. I'll start with the A team. Can you name me 4 fruits of the Caribbean? Yes? Huh?
Mango.
Mango?
Banana.
Soursop.
Okay, that's 2 points to you. Can anybody describe a cashew nut on this side? What's a cashew nut? Can you describe what it is?
Like a hard.
Yes? But there's something unique about the cashew, you know. Which bit is the fruit? Sorry? No, the nut is the fruit and the fruit is the nut. It's the other way around. Okay, let's move on. For this scheme, what is Marby? Okay, in Barbados, Guinea, there's a fruit called Guinea. It's called Guinea it's called Guinea in Barbados, but there's another name for it. What's the other name? Okay, thank you. So, wait, it was their question, you know, you answered the question. Okay, I'm going to move on quickly because I know that we got a lot of things. And what we'll do, take some capitals of the Caribbean quickly. What's the capital of St. Vincent? What's the capital of Barbados? Guyana. All right, so you know your capitals. We'll leave that then. I'm going to ask this one quickly. And I'm not doing it because she's here. It's actually in the book and I can show you. Who was the first black woman MP? Well done. Can you have a round of applause for that, please? It's in the book. And can you name me the 2 other Caribbean MPs? The kids, no, the elders. Is there any kids here? Can you name me the two other MPs? No, Paul Morton and who else? Sorry? Lord Taylor, he ain't no MP. Yeah, Lamy, okay, alright. We'll move on quickly and we'll take some cricket. Anybody ready for the cricket? The first cricket question is, which cricketer is nicknamed the Big Bird? Which cricketer is called the Blaster Blaster? Who's called the Whispering Death? Holding. Well done, Monica. Which island is the famous character King Dial from? King Dial, the one that dress up in different clothes all the time.
Oh, Trinidad.
Trinidad, yeah.
Is it? You sure? Okay. What island is Alvin Calichuran from?
Guyana.
Okay. What is Brian Lara's highest first class score?
360.
You always get this one wrong. That was his highest first class score was 502. And he was batting with another gentleman of West Indian origin. Can you tell me the name of the other player he was batting with when he broke the record? He stayed with him all afternoon at Edgbaston. He's from Montserrat origins actually. Just Keith Piper. Brian's world record is for 375, okay? That was his test record. Okay, in terms of, I will leave the cricket, I will move to other things. Can anybody tell us who was the first black chairman of the CRE? Yeah, we moved to England a bit now, okay? We have changed the subject a bit. Can anybody explain what was the Scarman report? Does anybody remember the Scarman report? Diane is telling us it was about the Brixton disorders in 1981. Yeah, and it followed. What happened actually to the report? I was very optimistic about the report as a youth worker, but I think the Tory government sort of shoved it, and now we got, you know, Macpherson. And Macpherson looked more promising in terms of implementation. Who is Linton Kiwisa Johnson?
A poet.
You're answering all the questions, you know. Who is Linton Kiwisa Johnson? His parents is actually from Luton. Nobody can tell us anything about Linton.
He's a poet.
What kind of poet? Who was the first West Indian cricketer to be knighted? You all got it wrong. Can you round of applause for this gentleman? It was Cyril Constantine. Okay. Who was the first black footballer to play in the Scottish leagues? I'm switching it a bit now. Barnes was a manager.
I think you're right.
No, he's a great footballer, but he's had a lot of injuries.
All right.
No? It was Mark Walters.
All right, yeah.
Okay. We didn't do it in order because people keep taking answers all the time. Back to the Caribbean and we'll finish off. Which island is the mighty sparrow from?
Trinidad.
What? Is that from Trinidad? Why is it known as from Trinidad?
Yeah.
He's from Grenada.
Yeah. But, well, he lives in most of Trinidad.
Yeah, but where is Frank Worrell from? Frank Worrell.
Barbados.
All right, I thought you was gonna say Jamaica. But because they've got a lot on the plate, I'll finish up. But just quick, tell me just true or false, quite quickly. Malcolm Marshall is from Trinidad.
No.
Stuart Williams is from St. Lucia. Junior Morris from Grenada. Eh? That's not false. That's true. Phil Simmons is Guyanese.
No. Phil Simmons is Trinidadian.
Shirin Ryan Chandapal is Trinidadian.
No. He's Guyanese.
Okay, you know your cricket. Everton Weeks is not one of the 3 W's.
Yes.
All right, the last one. Where is Winston Davis from? Come off it. One of the largest group of Caribbean people in Luton is from St. Vincent, isn't it? Okay, thank you. I'll let finish off. Thank you. You've all won. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, University Challenge. Thank you very much, Sir Steve. And who was the winner?
Everybody.
Well, I'm sure you think you were the winners, and I'm sure you think you were the winners. So, who do you think won? Everyone. Fair enough. Okay then. Okay. Thank you very much, Maestro. Teresa's going to come and give a presentation now. And Teresa. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for supporting us, and we're having a good time, aren't we? Yeah. Great. Well, in our audience, we've got a very special lady to me. She's been a guide, she's been a friend, she's been supportive. She's the lady who brought me to Christ, to know the goodness of his love. And she celebrated her 60th birthday. Now this lady is also a very hard-working lady for the Harlesden, Kensal Green, Willesden, Oxford, Birmingham, Huddersfield, High Wycombe. She works tirelessly in the community, helping our African Caribbean community. And she's also the bishop of the Mount